Hello everyone. Let's work some exercises from exercise set 2A. I'm going to work exercise set 2A, which doesn't involve the arrow. And then I'll do another video on exercises using the arrow. I've tried to get rid of some of the glare from previous videos by shutting the lights out, so we'll see how that shows up on the video. Okay. To go back to previous videos, all of these examples have multiple connectors. So you have to determine what the connector applies to determine the whole statement. Okay? We looked at some of the first ones, but let's look again at one of these. Negation. You have negation, and you have one of the other two-place connectors. Okay, so let's look at the third one. Not Y, or C. Not Y or C. Okay, now, the not is right next to the letter Y. No punctuation in between. So it only applies to that Y. It does not, as it were, go through to the whole statement. So we have, this is a unit. Y is false, and that helps us see our main connector. It's an or statement. Y is false or C is true. Now again, in the exercises, you're given that Y is false. Okay, so we have, the statement becomes not false or C is true. Not false or true. You're told that Y is false, C is true. So you have a statement that says not false or else true. Now again, we have to do things in the right order. Since this is not the main connector, you determine this first. Y is false, so not Y is true. And so we end up with an or statement with true on the left side and true on the right side, and that is true. Remember, for an or statement, if both sides are true, the whole statement's true. It's true as long as at least one side of the statement is true. Okay? So this statement says Y is not here, C is here. And both of those statements are true. Y is not here, C is here. I'm using that as the abbreviate, can stand for anything, right? So if Y is false, then this statement, not Y, is true. So is this statement. And so both sides of the or statement are true, and that makes for a true statement. So you go in the reverse order of the main connector, right? You have to deal with connectors that refer to part of the statement first, get the truth value, right? Y has a truth value, not Y has a resulting truth value. Since Y is false, not Y is true, and you need that truth, you need to plug in that truth value to get the truth value of this whole or statement. Okay? The other type we're going to see is statements with parentheses, right? That are grouping other smaller statements. So we'll look at 6, which groups using parentheses, and then 7, which has parentheses groupings and it has negation. In fact, I'd like to do 10, number 10. Let's do 6, 7, and 10, just to see the various combinations here. And then from there, you should be able to group things, see how the groupings work in the main connectors. This will be a good start for you. Okay, number 6. B and C in parentheses. B and C in parentheses, or Y and Z. Okay? Right? Now visually you can kind of see this, that this or is the main connector, right? But remember my rules, right? What's inside parentheses is a unit, so this and, it doesn't break out from here, right? This and is connecting B and C. This and is connecting Y and Z, and then this or connects the unit on its left side and the unit on the right side, so this is the main connector. So this whole statement says this is true or this is true, okay? They both happen to be conjunctions. Either these two are here or these two are here. Either these two are here or these two are here. Now remember, we take B and C to be true. We take Y and Z to be false. Okay, so how does the or statement shake out with that? Okay? Well, you have to take it piece by piece. And again, it should be intuitive how you take it piece by piece once I work through this. This and statement is a unit with true on its left and true on its right. So true and true, right? We have true and true, which equals true. Okay? On the left side, we go over to the right side. We can't deal with this yet until we deal with the left side and the right side. On the left side, we have false and false. We have a conjunction with two false statements, right? And that's false. And that's false. This says Y and Z are both here. In fact, neither are here. Okay, so that's a false statement. So false and false equals false. Now, left side, right side, joined by an or, you have T or F, true or false, which is a true statement. The statement said either this pair are both here, or this pair are both here. Remember, that can mean or both, right? And in fact, this pair is here. This pair is not, but that's okay, because the statement said one of these is true. Okay, so it results in a true statement, right? And so this is how the parentheses grouping works. Unit, unit, the two place in between, right? You can kind of visually see what's the main thing. A little tricky when you put negations inside and or outside. So I said we do, in addition to number 6, we do number 8. Number 6, we would do number 8. Okay, number 8. Okay. Number 8. Not, parentheses, A and B. Okay, not parentheses, A and B. Or, parentheses, X and Y. Okay? So we have a very similar thing, parentheses and with an or in between, but we've got this negation here. Okay? Now remember, negation applies to whatever unit is next to it. If it's next to a capital letter, it just applies to capital letter. Okay? This is not the main connector. It does not negate this whole long string. It just, right, next to this parentheses closes here, so it negates this. It says A and B is false. So this statement says either A and B is false or X and Y is true. Or X and Y is true. Now again, we take A to be true, B to be true, X to be false, Y to be false. Okay? Now our order is going to be, right, we have this unit and then this negates this unit. So we do this first and then we do this. Okay? Then you can come over to the right side and do this. And then again, you have to deal with the main connector. So visually, I'm telling you this is the main connector. And it can be a little tricky to see because you see this negation right out at the end here, right? But if you look and say, that negation only applies to this, right? And so you have this, that makes a new unit, a negated unit, and you've got this parentheses unit with the main connector. The main connector might not always be visually in the middle, but I'm just helping you see visually how this works. Okay, so we've got true and true negated, or false and false. Okay, so this says either Ann and Bob are not both here, or Xerxes and Yolanda are both here. Okay? Are either of those statements true? Okay. So we have T and T negated. T and T is a unit. Okay? So that's true, but it's that unit is negated. And we get to not T or F and F. Right, F and F you can deal with on its own is of course false. So we have not T or false. Okay, you can deal with these units this way. So not T equals F. So we have false or false. So both halves of the or statement are false. Since Ann and Bob are both here, this not statement is false. And since neither of these are here, this and statement also false. False or false equals false. And so that's how you derive false statement. Looking at the connectors and the units and then applying the rules of those connectors to whatever they apply to. This and applies to A and B, and then you negate it. Over here you have this and statement, and the or statement says either this whole thing is true or this whole thing is true. Okay, so that's 8. Do one more that puts a negation outside one of the parentheses and inside one of the parentheses. And we'll deal with it step by step and show you how to work through that. So number 10, it's actually going to be similar, so I'll just keep some of it on the board here. See what we got. Erase this, and we'll analyze it as it goes. So let's see. Number 10 says, oh, it's different enough. I'll erase the letters too. It's close. All right. Number 10 says, not parentheses x and not y. Okay. A lot of negations here. Or parentheses b and not c. So we've got 1, 2, 3 negations here, and we have to deal with them. We've got 2 sets of parentheses, again with the or in the middle. Okay? Main connector is going to be the same. Let's walk through the rules why. When a negation is right next to a capital letter, that's what it applies to. So you have not y, not c. Okay, so inside this parentheses, right, you have x and not y. Okay, inside the parentheses. And then this negation applies to this whole thing. So you have, right, x is here and y is not, negated. X is here and y is not, that's a false statement. Or b and not c is a true statement. That's what it's saying. Either it's not true that x and not y is here. Either it's not true that these two things are true, or it's true that b and not c. And so the parentheses inside just create a unit out of the letter they're next to. Let's look at order to see how this makes sense, okay? So again, you're going to have to deal with what's inside the parentheses first. Inside this parentheses, then negate it. Inside this parentheses, then then you don't negate it. That's just the left side, the right side. Okay, so now when you go inside the parentheses, right? Left side, right side, so you have to deal with this negation. Left side, right side, you have to deal with this negation. So you have, just keep everything, let's just deal with this negation and keep everything else the same. Not, we have false, false, true, true. Okay? All right. So x is false, so not false and not false, right? Not false equals true. Not false equals true. So we have not, false, and true. Not false and true. Since y is false, not y is true, and then that's the right side of this and statement, which x on the left side is false, false and true. Okay, and I'm just going to leave the rest the same, just so that we aren't dealing with too much at one time. Okay, now you can figure out the truth value of this parentheses. You have not, false and true. False and true is false. One of these statements is false, so the whole statement is false. So you have not false, you wouldn't need this parentheses, but just to keep it the same. Not false, negate false. Or, again, we're just going to deal with one thing at a time, B and not C. Okay. Now, not false equals true. Now we can deal with this right side. Okay? B is true. Not C. C is also true. Okay? True and not true. Okay? We got true over here. We have to deal with this and statement. Sorry. Not true is false. Okay, not true is false, right? Not C is false in this scenario, right? We turn not C and we determined it's false. Okay? True and false equals false. Okay? So here we have true or false, which is a true statement. The left side. My apologies. My screen cut out as I was explaining this at an inconvenient time. I have to make sure to keep scrolling. Okay, let me run through what we have here. And apologies for the mishap here. Okay. Your connectors are X and not Y. Yeah, your statement is X and not Y negated, or B and not C. X and not Y is false, or B and not C is true. Okay? Not Y, since Y is false, not Y is true. And X is false. False and true negated. False and true equals false, and then you have to still negate that, and we've been keeping B and not C together. Okay, not false is true. Then we come over to this parentheses, right? Since C is true, we get true and not true. Not true equals false. True and false equals false. And so we have true or false, which actually is a true statement, right? So since X is not here, Y is not here. The statement that one of these is false, is true, right? Not X and not Y. This statement, it says, is not true. And indeed, that statement is not true. So this negation is a true statement. That's the left half of an or statement. And so the whole or statement is true. Okay. So those are your exercise, set A exercises. I had some technical difficulty there. I'll see what I can clean up on YouTube.